Hello, everybody. I thought we'd talk about something that nobody else even is talking about. And really, I think we really need to dig into this because everybody does it, and that's pay tax. Anything that you buy, you pay tax on. So, what I want you to do from January the 1st to December the 31st, get you a notebook, and anything that you buy within that year, I want you to take that receipt and write the tax that you paid down. Just the tax alone on anything that you buy. I'd like for you to write that tax down in a notebook. And at the end of the year, I want you to take all that money that you paid tax on and add that all up. And you'll be amazed how much tax you have paid within that one year. It's stunning. I've already done this, so I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this. I was amazed how much money I spent just on tax alone. Like I said, you go and let's say, all right, you don't know what I'm talking about. I'll give you an example. You go to the gas station and put gas in your car. You pay a gas tax. That tax that you've been charged for that gas, I want you to write in and write that down. Then you go, okay, well, let's say, hey, I got to go get groceries. You get your groceries, you got a tax on your groceries that you paid. I want you to write that down. You go and do anything, you spend any money, you have a tax. I'd like for you to write all that down, all just the taxes alone, not the full amount, just the tax alone. And you will be amazed how much money you spend on taxes for one full year. Like I said, you start January 1 to December 31st, and you write down all the tax that you have paid within that period of time. Whether it's you go and buy a pair of shoes, you got a tax on. Whether you go buy, let's say, a new vehicle, you got a tax that you have to pay. And then, if that ain't enough, and let's get real, you got a light bill, you got tax on that light bill. You got a water bill, you got tax on that water bill. You got a phone bill, you got a tax on that phone bill. Whether it's a house phone, cell phone, don't make no difference what phone it is, there is a tax that you have to pay. So I'd like for you, like I said, write these numbers all down that you paid taxes on for one full year. And you will be amazed how much money it actually is. Now, if you've got a job, your federal income tax, your work does that for you. So you don't have to worry about that because when they give you your W 2, it tells you right there how much federal tax you paid in, which that will be your big number if you're working. That's the big number. And I want you to write that number down. Then, like I said, add all the other stuff that you have bought within that one year. Add that all up and tell you how much tax that you have paid. Now, see, when this country first started, see, the only tax you had was the federal tax. Because let's get real, we only had 13 states when this country got started. So that's all there was. But now we're paying city tax, we're paying state tax, we're paying county tax, we're paying property tax if you own any property, or anything that you pay taxes on. I want you to write down in this notebook and really set and figure, okay, at the end of the year, add that all up. Oh my, you will be amazed how much tax money that you have spent. It is just unbelievable. Why nobody is actually talking about this on YouTube or anything else is amazing because we do it every day. We go buy anything. We've got a tax we're paying. And it's just amazing how much money is actually spent just on you buying anything and you've got to pay tax on. Like I said, I've done this, so I know how much money I have spent within 1 year of strictly just tax. It's astonishing. But like I said, that's just something that I think you really should really do because everybody should be put on a budget. Well, that tax that you're paying every time you go and buy something, that is cutting into your budget. Now, plain and simple, everybody knows you better have a budget or you ain't going to survive today. That's a fact. So, what I want is plain and simple. Just do this one simple thing. And that's all. I said, you want to learn something? Learn that. And like I said, you will be amazed how much tax money you have spent just on tax alone. Like I said, whether you go and buy anything, you pay tax on. But it's something that people really should actually sit and figure out. How much money am I spending just on tax alone? It is astonishing. And you will be amazed how much money you spent. So when you get time, just look at it and say, oh, well, hey, I went and bought this, and it only cost me 28 cents of tax. Well, let me give you some advice. That 28 cents adds up. You got something that you went and bought, and you paid $1.50 tax on it. That $1.50 adds up. Over time, it adds up. Within that 1 year, like I said, it's something that nobody else is talking about. And I don't understand why nobody else is talking about it. Because one, they don't like to talk about anything bad. But this is not actually bad for you. You absolutely should know how much money you are spending out on taxes a year. Like I said, whether it's property tax, sales tax, state tax, county tax, ambulance tax, school tax, which is a whole nother thing for me because, like I said, I'm I'm 65 years old. I ain't got a kid in school. Why am I paying school tax? But I have to pay that. There ain't anything I can do about that. That's just plain and simple. I have to pay it. Now, whether some people pay more taxes than others, but anything that you own, you pay tax on every year. That is life, really, but it is amazing why nobody actually sits down and really figures out, okay, I got January 1 to December the 31st. I am buying stuff in that year time. How much taxes am I paying on everything that I buy, everything that I do? You go out and eat, you pay taxes on that meal. Now, it don't seem like it's something that people really should concern themselves with, but it's just amazing that nobody is actually talking about this. And I don't understand why people haven't really figured out how much money you are spending just on tax alone. Like I said, I've done this. I know how much tax I spend in within 1 year. And I was just shocked on how much money I spent just on tax. So, sit and think about it. It's really common sense that everybody has to be put on a budget. That's a fact. Everybody is on a budget. Because if you ain't on a budget, then you will not survive in this world today. Because you only got a certain amount of money coming in, and you got so much money going out. And if you got more going out than what's coming in, you are doomed from day one. But see, all these little taxes that you're getting charged here and there on everything adds up. And that interferes with your budget. So, yes, you really should actually keep an eye on how much tax money you are spending on everything. And I mean everything. No matter what you buy, you pay taxes on. There is a big thing that people really should pay attention to, and that is that tax is what is driving you from actually really making a good living. Is tax. Taxes are going to be high. Taxes are going to go up. Taxes very seldom ever go down, but once in a while taxes do go down. It's just like the world. Everything goes up, must come down because that's the way of life. You take a balloon, you blow up a balloon, it goes floating in the air, but eventually, what? That balloon comes back down because gravity. That's just what I'm trying to get to you. Understand how much money you spend just on tax alone. Like I said, you go and buy a pair of shoes that cost you, let's say, $50. Well, how much tax are you being charged for that? That's something that you write down. How much tax am I getting charged for buying a tank of gas? Write that tax down. Then, like I said, at the end of the year, from January to December, add that up, and you will be amazed how much tax is actually you are paying. But nobody else talks about this because nobody wants to discuss this. I guess I don't know. It popped in my head. I thought, well, hey, this is a good topic to really talk about because it's amazing how much money you actually spend just on tax alone. It's astonishing, but it is something you really should really set and think about. And that's what I want you to do. Set and think about how much money am I spending on tax? You will be amazed on what the amount really is. Excuse me. But I just thought I'd throw this out to you and see what you think. Maybe nobody else really cares about how much money they spend on taxes, but they really should, and that's a fact because it is your money that you're spending that you think, well, hey, I ain't gonna worry too much about it because it's just that's just the way it is. But how much money are you spending on that tax? It will just absolutely amaze you how much money you spend. And then you can figure out, okay, well, hey, my budget is this, but I'm spending this much on tax at the end of the year. I've got to figure out, okay, how can I spend less on tax? It's plain and simple. You buy less. You don't buy the big items that's going to charge you more tax. Like I said, you go out and buy a new vehicle. You pay that tax on that vehicle when you go get it licensed and get the loan. Because here's the key of it: you're paying taxes on that vehicle, and then they'll tell you, well, there's a title fee, which is a tax. Then there's a license fee. There's a tax. But see, they don't classify them as tax. They classify them as fees. But it is actually a tax. Then, when it's time at the end of the year that you get your property tax, okay, well, you're paying taxes on that same vehicle that you've already paid taxes on. That's amazing to me. How you can actually pay tax on vehicle that you've already paid taxes on when you first got it. But they tax you. It's like, your water bill, your light bill, your phone bill, your gas, and all. You're paying all these taxes that people don't really sit and think, okay, if I do this, to what I am telling you, and you add it all up over a year, like, no wonder you ain't got no money because you're spending it all on taxes. Because you gotta live, so you gotta have lights. Or some people may think, well, I don't need lights, I just do without lights. Okay, that if that's the way you want to live, that's your privilege. But you gotta have a water. So you've got a water bill, you got a light bill, you got a phone bill, and if you have gas, you got to heat your home like propane. You got a tax on that. So everything that you spend money on, you pay tax on. But like I said, don't make no difference. You go to a movie theater, you got tax. You go and buy popcorn or a soda at a movie theater, there's a tax. Anytime, anytime you spend any money, you are paying taxes on. That is plain and simple. But nobody really sets and figures out, okay, from January 1 to December 31st, for that full year, I'm going to keep a record of how much money I spend just on tax alone. Like I said, you will be amazed because I've done this. And I know how much money I have spent just on tax alone within that year. And I was just shocked, like, oh my God, no wonder I ain't got that much money because I've spent this much on tax. But it is something that you really should really and truly think about. How much money are you spending on tax? That's a fact. And you, like I said, you will be absolutely amazed on how much money you actually spent on taxes. But like I said, that's something that you really need to set and think about and really do this. And I would encourage you to do that. Anything that you buy from January the 1st to December the 31st, write that tax down. And then, like I said, in a notebook or something that you can actually have a record of. Then at the end of the year, I want you to add that up. And you will be shocked on how much money you spent just on tax alone. So that's the ball of this video. I'm James Godman, and I have like to let you know. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to subscribe to my channel, hit it too. I'm not telling you to do it. I just would appreciate if you do it. So for now, I'm going to have to say goodbye and see you next time.